Okay, this is the Pit project capstone for NetApp, and I'm Sam.
I'm Sammy.
I'm Dylan.
So we're just gonna go over a little bit about ourselves. Dylan wants to go first.
So I was interested in this project just because it was in Python, which is a language that's relatively new to me, and I was really excited to learn more about it.
Louder.
A little louder? Okay. It was in Python, which is a language that's really new to me, and I want to learn more about it. So the opportunity to do that was cool, and both the NetApp capstones seemed like they had a little bit of Systems-y stuff going on, and I like system stuff, so applied for both of those. I'm a senior in CS, graduating this term. Just hobby interests. I drum. I play Magic: The Gathering, and recently I've taken to exploring Linux a bit more. Some of the areas in CS that I've explored and I've really liked are game dev and security.
My name is Sammy. I wasn't really 100% whenever I first picked this project, I wasn't I didn't pick it because I was super interested in it. I just thought it was it kind of sounded a little interesting. I didn't really look into it that much, but once I started looking into it, it became really interesting. There's a lot you can do with it. I got to add a lot of functionality that I thought was pretty cool. Initially I was studying mechanical engineering, but I liked the coding part of the engineering and kind of went into CS. Some hobbies: soccer, video games. I like math and physics and stuff. My experience, I've done a lot of stuff with databases with Python, and a lot of experience with Java and mobile apps, and
My name is Sam, and I'm Sam. NetApp was a cloud company, and I'd never done anything with cloud development before. And this year I really wanted to work with big data and just sort of cloud computing in general, so I picked this project. I'm a senior at the University of Pittsburgh, and I have a garden back home. It's pretty big. I played football for 6 or 7 years now. I played some in college just from the club team, and then I spent a lot of my time just cooking and experimenting. My experience is I spent my entire junior year just doing mobile apps, and then this year I'm really focusing on big data and then cloud computing. So what we're doing is we are making a tool to let you remotely manage VMs on a Windows host machine. So our goal is to sort of abstract just general functions into an easy to use tool. So imagine you have your own Linux terminal, and then you can just use your Linux terminal, connect to a Windows host, and issue different commands to it, like create a lot of VMs or delete VMs, or make storage pools using all the host resources. And our goal is for someone to be able to use this very easily. It's supposed to be very intuitive. And this project is important because ONTAP Select runs with other types of hypervisors, like ESX or KVM, but it doesn't run with any Windows hypervisor. And it'd be easier to explore using ONTAP on Windows machines in Hyper-V. So here's just an overview of the project architecture. So like I said before, the client would be your Linux terminal, and the CLI would be what you would be using. And the CLI makes a call. Like say you want to create a VM. What that does is the CLI tool sends a request to business logic, and business logic will check if that request is feasible. So if you try to create a VM, there's not enough hardware resources, business logic would tell you that you couldn't do it. And if your request is valid, it'll then pipeline your request to our Python WinRM library. What that is it formats your request into a sort of PowerShell script that PowerShell script gets sent through the PyWinRM library to the host machine. And because the host machine is running Windows, it executes that PowerShell script, and then your VM is created. And this works both ways. We can get feedback from the host machine to see if things are created or not. That's just a general overview of how this works. And then a little bit more detail about the 3 different components. So as I mentioned before, we have the CLI, which is just, the general term for a command line interface. And this is just a command prompt that allows users to interact with different inputs and requests. And then the business logic considers if your request is valid or not, and then it executes it. And the PyWinRN, there's 2 components of the PyWinRN library. So we have our component where we translate Python into PowerShell script, and then there's a second component that is an open source module that sends that PowerShell script to the host PC. And just how we're actually implementing this. So our environment is a Windows PC tower that I just have at my house. I converted it into a sort of Hyper-V workstation that all of us can use and connect to and send requests to. And then my PC will receive the PowerShell scripts that we send from all of our different computers when we're working on it. And then, so just for general admin stuff, we have UML diagrams we're using to keep track of everything, and then we use Sphinx to format Python doc strings into sort of just easy to digest documentation. And then just for different configurations of the different states of our code branches, we use pull requests for GitHub. And then just the general applications that we're using is GitHub, Hyper-V, Discord, and Trello. So communication is a huge aspect of this project because a lot of us are, we're all still students and we don't have a lot of experience working in large groups. So we need to effectively assign work amongst our group members every week. And that is super important because you don't want people like redoing the same work. I think one week Dylan and I actually did the same thing and it showed. And it's very important to be on call and like sort of just monitor communications in general because we all have different sleep and class schedules. Like if someone posts something and you're on your phone, you can't ignore it. You just got to answer, make sure everything's up to date. And then just make sure any pull request people make is like reviewed in a timely manner and like merge solutions are solved, merge problems are solved. That's been pretty good with all of us since we actually do monitor our communications. We all respond to each other. It's been really nice working with these guys. And we definitely don't want to alter each other's code without just giving them a heads up first. And if you go to the newest branch and just see your code's gone, it's gonna be a problem. And just how we communicate in general is we use Discord, which is if you guys ever use GroupMe, it's kind of similar. Or Slack. So you have different. What'd you say?
Microsoft Teams is another one.
Oh yeah. So we just have a general thread, which is just everyone on the group everyone in our project is on there. The managers, Joe, Charlie, Tim, and then just all of us are on there. We have our own sort of team dev chat that we use extensively for keeping people up to date and asking questions from each other. And then just general announcements for everyone. And then we have a GitHub hook that tells you about merge requests, merges, pull requests, and just like anything going on our GitHub page. It's been really nice to see like not who's doing work, but just like the general upkeep of our branches and our development. And every 2 weeks we have an in-person meeting with our NetApp supervisors, and then on alternate weeks we have phone conferences. And then this is how we keep track of progress every sprint. Our sprint is scheduled every week. And then here's a picture for the board breakdown. So the backlog is just things people can pick up. If you never used Trello before, it's kind of like sticky notes. Each one of these white blocks is a sticky note. And you can just kind of pick it up, and put it in progress, do work on it. And once you finish doing it, you can just move it to the next board and it's done. Everyone can see like what tasks are being done and what stage is being done. It's really nice. And the last one is blocked, and just general. If we can't figure anything out, we don't want to get stuck for too long. We'll just put it in the blocked category.
Matter if it's just something that we decided that is not a concern.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what happened here. The dual scale 1 gig
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go over like the main functionality we have so far in our tool. So like the basic get CPU, disk, RAM, and OS functions. Those you can get those, if you want to get just those specific pieces of information. You don't want any clutter. We have those. Then we have just the get host resources, which gets all of those. They list all of those for you, and they give you like the IDs of the like RAM and all that specific data that you might need. Get network information, is on the information of the host network. So whenever you need to add a switch, if you want to add an external switch, you're given the name of the network, so you can add the network. So get VMs list, so it lists all the current VMs and their status, if they're on or off. And get VM resource usage, so you can see how many resources that VM is using, how much RAM it's allocated to it, what's the disk size that's allocated to it, and all that. And then get the VM's percent usage, so like get like a percentage usage of what the VMs are running and the percentage of the CPU like that they're using at the time. Like I think it's like a small interval of time. They give you an average like a 10 or 5 second interval of how much like they're using. So whenever you're going to create more VMs or update or anything like that, if you're at a point where you're above 90% in like or 95% in CPU usage or memory usage or disk size, it will stop you from turning on any more VMs because you're at maximum capacity. And then we have some snapshot functionality. So like for get snapshot list, so you can, if you want to look at the lists of the snapshots for a particular VM. Get storage pool. It shows you a list of the storage pools for both disk storage pools and VM switch storage pools. It shows you all of them. Get VHD path. So if you want to check the paths to a storage pool, so like if you want to see all the paths to the disks that are on a storage pool, you can get the path to all of them that are connected to a given storage pool, and then also get VM switch, which will show you all the switches on a certain storage pool. Get all VM switches if you want to see all the VM switches, not just on a certain storage pool, but all of them that are on that host as well. And there's get network adapter. So like if you want to get all the network adapters that are on the host, this is like if you want to just see all the names of the network adapters that are on all the VMs of the current hypervisor manager. And then for the action commands, we have VM create remove, takes in, you can input a single VM, or you can put in a JSON or CSV with multiple VMs and all the information you need to create or remove those VMs, and it'll do that. VM start, stop, restart. I mean, those are just basic functions to manage your VMs. If you want to turn off a bunch of VMs, all at one go, or if you want to start or you want to restart, that's useful. VM snapshot, reverse snapshot. So if you can take a snapshot of a VM and then whenever you go to revert a VM, you can look at it asks you for the VM you want to revert to a previous snapshot, and then you choose whatever it shows you a list of all the snapshots and the times they're taken, and then you input the one that you want to revert to. VM export import. This is if you want to take a VM you already have and you want to export a current state of it or a previous state of it, and you want to import it and like make multiple copies of it. You can import it like 10 times, make 10 VMs with that single instance of a VM. You can create 10 new VMs or however many new VMs you want. VM copy files. You have files on the host, and you can copy them to whatever VMs you want. this is modularized. This is like generic, so it copies them all to the C folder. But obviously you might be running other VMs not on Windows, so we need to figure out a way to make it so we can always have a place to send those, like a generic place. That's just like that's our rudimentary solution for now. Create, remove storage pool. That whenever you create one, it prompts you if you want to disk a storage pool, or if you want to switch storage pool, and then you give it any parameters. Actually, no, that's it. And then you remove storage pool, remove a switch storage pool, remove a VHD storage pool. Add, remove VHD path. If you want to add paths to disks to a storage pool, you can. If you want to remove paths to certain disks in a storage pool, you can. And again, whenever you do these, it'll show you a list of, I'll show you later in the demo, it'll show you a list of all the paths to a VM, so you're given the information that you need at the time that you need it to do certain inputs. So you're not expected to go and look up these paths, they're given to you. Create, add, remove VM switch. You create VM switch and you give it a parameter like, I think external, private, internal. I'm not really sure what private and internal do, but external is you take a network that's on your host. You give it a network name that's on your host, or an Ethernet connection name. Add, connect, remove VM adapter. So the VM adapters on the hypervisor VMs, you can add new adapters to if you want to add an adapter to 10 VMs named external adapter or whatever, you can do that, and then you can connect all of them and you can remove all of them. So that's pretty much the basic function. That's the basic functionality we have so far. And then do you do the demo or do you
I'm gonna try something and see.
Video clips.
Oh yeah, probably. I'm ready though.
Here.
Oh wait, hold on. Talk to the computer, I guess.
I accidentally, I think I just fixed something. I realized there was some crap that I accidentally overrode in the show. So I'm just gonna go over I'll do the basic CRUD stuff first. We haven't totally figured out exactly how we want to do this yet, but I think the first thing we'll do is just see what there is there. So we'll go ahead and do a normal VM create. We'll do the interactive mode that Joe wanted us to add. He said that he thought we were originally doing a lot of stuff with the whole CSV, you make a file and you feed that file into it, or optionally if you wanted to, you could feed the things in and it'll make a file manually. But Joe wanted us to have a way to do that entirely in memory, so we added that, and that's kind of what is presented as the main way of doing it. So that's option one, and we'll just name the virtual machine, my VM. We made it so that the allocation is in gigabytes now. I'm going to have to go through and fix that spacing. I'll have to remember that. So we'll say minimum 1, starting 1, maximum 2. That's fine. Hard drive size, we'll give it 10 gigs. Why not? Number of CPU cores, 2. And then it'll give you this little message that just tells you, it's making the virtual machine, it's processing in the background. You have this option to list VM summary report, which you can use you can say yes or no, and it'll list the VMs that are up. If you want confirmation, you can see that my VM is there. And if you want to do a VM start, the same thing, you can pass in a list of VMs if you have a bunch and you have a pre-formatted thing you want. In that case, we're not that concerned with it. So again, say you forgot the name of your VM, you can list them, and you just enter the name of the VM that you want to put in. In this case, we'll start 2. We can start A, right?
don't delete A.
No, we're starting 1. So we'll start A and my VM, and
Are you starting 2 of them?
Yeah.
A has Windows on it, so it uses a lot of resources.
Okay, we'll make sure to stop it.
You don't have a lot of power on that one. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, and then we'll list the running machines. And then you can see now we have our A and our MyVM are both running.
Why does it say 8.3 there?
I'm not sure what that is,
Where?
but we'll figure that out.
It says 8.3.
Oh, that's the version. It was just reading over. I need to make the terminal bigger. We'll go ahead and stop those because, as Sammy was informing us, A is pretty.
It's running Windows.
It's running Windows, so it uses a bit of stuff.
I showed the %.
Oh.
Oh yeah. You should,
Yeah, I'll do that. Well, we're already stopping, so we'll go ahead and stop those.
wait, why is that showing up?
It might have been like in there from debugging at some point. We'll go through and fix that too. We'll update one and then we'll do the % usage, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. It's just VM update, right?
Yeah.
We'll do like direct execution again. Don't need a summary report. Well, it's the resources report for funsies, even though nothing is running. Name a virtual machine. We'll update the test one. We'll give it a minimum RAM allocation. Let's say, we'll take it down. It supports decimals, so we'll take it down. We'll say the maximum RAM we want to give it is a gig. Hard drive size can stay 10. Number of CPU cores would be 1 to make room for our hefty Windows machine.
So does it do checks for resource usage or no?
Not yet. Right.
Yeah, it should. It's what we plan on doing is having to. It'll do a hard check first whenever you do CRUD on the VMs to see if you try to make a VM with more disk space than you have, or more memory than you have, or more CPU processors than you have, and then after it does that, it'll do a soft check to see if you're above 95 or 90% CPU usage, RAM usage, RAM utilization at that.
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Mark. Like with storage pools, when you're provisioning them, they give you sort of
Yeah.
Okay. So we updated my VM, made it a little weaker. We got the Windows one running again, and now we're just gonna go through some of the like resource usage commands. I don't know if there are any like specifically like really big ones that you think we should show. This is the basic. You have like average CPU and average RAM and all that stuff. That's the. Those there.
Those are like over a period of time, right?
Yeah, we have. So the averages refer to like runtime, and then I believe. Yeah. And then these guys just show like what their allocations are for their like total disk and min RAM and all that.
Network inbound, network outbound. What is that? What's that number?
Oh, those are network adapters. So I have two network adapters on the lot A, which is running Windows. So I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that was there. But yeah, I guess that should tell me adapters that are currently on.
Is that the VNIC stuff you did like this week?
Yeah.
Just more probably.
So it's out of curiosity, it's A. So let me
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Get VM's % usage is just
It always has the usage of all the VMs.
Okay, that's fine. Because you can also just do get host resources and then do the map yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
so I don't know if there's any like specific.
That's overall resources.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we got. I mean, you can do like get VM switch, and you do get VM switch. You can look at all the switches that are on the host. So you can check a storage pool. So there's the I don't know, primordial. I guess that's just like the default one. And then there's testing that I made the testing. So you check that one. You can check all the switches. So I have two switches on that resource pool. Now let's add a resource pool.
Got it.
You add, or do help. and then do add VM switch, and then you can name what you want to name it.
So we have to choose the one we're adding to, right?
No, you're adding a switch. So
What's the name of the storage pool you want to add a switch to, right? So we want.
We're adding. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry for that. I was confused.
You want to add to testing?
Add to testing,
Got it.
and then let's do an external one. Oh, wait. There's a lot there. Oh, those are all the switches. Yeah. Okay. These are all the switches that are on the host. Right? Or wait, no. These are all the network adapters.
Switches.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So name of the switch you would like to add. So ext is a external one. Add that one. Okay. Now you can check. Check
is it under get home?
Yeah.
Get all VM switches.
Yeah. It'll show you. I'm sorry. No, it's get VM switch, and then you're gonna wanna do testing. Yeah. Okay. See, it added the. It added it. Okay. So.
Want to remove it?
You can remove it. Yeah.
Is that
That's it.
implemented?
Yeah.
Okay.
I covered everything. Remove VM switch.
So we just attached that switch to the VM we just made?
We attached it to a resource pool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you add VM switches to resource pools, and then you can create VM switches, which will add them to the host, and then you can connect network adapters to VM switches on VMs, or you can connect network adapters on VMs to resource pools.
Ah, cool. Okay. That helps kind of get, yeah, I was a little confused what Ethernet storage pool was, but okay, I get it.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time in this room.
Yeah, we started at 3:30.
Sorry, guys.
We have 45 minutes for the presentation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I mean, should we just show the rest of our presentation? I mean, this is just a demo. I mean, we can should we just try to go through.
Yeah.
Well, I can.
Here you can move forward.
Yeah, we have a lot more to show in the demo, but we're going to try to figure out what we want to show because we don't want to have we don't want to go over and keep people longer than they should be there. So we're going to figure out how we're going to do it.
Yeah, we'll